Alright, so here it is all finished up, and I gotta say I never thought I'd be handling this knife since it is a very expensive knife, and I made sure to be very careful with this thing while working on it. I wanted to show you guys the liners since I re-anodized them, but I put a nice stonewash finish on them, and that was only because I don't know if the owner bought this used before I even messed with it. I did notice that it was pretty beat up on the edges. You can see here on the jimping in the back. Again, I didn't want to mess with this too much, but this knife is definitely a user, which is crazy, but also pretty cool. But I decided to stonewash it just to hide all those dings and scratches all the way around the edge. So that way it hides it better, but it still also looks really good. So that's what I did with the liners. The pocket clip, which was the main reason this knife was sent to me, was to get a custom pocket clip. And here it is in titanium. Anodized it the exact same blue as the liners. Try not to let it slip out of my fingers, but nice satin finish with a stonewash finish to match the liners. And then I even beveled the edges, but I gave that a nice satin finish. And I'm trying to get the camera to pick it up, but you can see right there I used 320 grit to give it a really nice beveled satin finish. That way there's some contrast, and that way it also matches the liners. Again, this knife is pretty insane, and I gotta show you guys really quick. I'm gonna take my glove off. I'm wearing gloves so I don't stain the titanium. I really want to get this back to the customer perfect. But there's these little flared hardware pieces made out of brass. If you guys were wondering how the scale is held onto the liners, so there is a larger hole here and then a smaller one, but that smaller hole is actually flared underneath to where that flared section actually sits. So you can see it fits through that larger hole, and then it gets pushed that direction, and this sits basically where the liner is right here. So this little flared out hardware piece sits on top of that, and then underneath you screw it in, and then this pulls. It's pretty interesting and very well thought out, but when you tighten through the liner, it actually pulls the scale to the liner, which is really interesting. I've never seen anything like that before, so just wanted to share that with you guys really quick. But I got my gloves back on. Let's put this thing together and see what it looks like. Really quick, sorry everything is in shambles, but I started recording assembling this, but I forgot to mention one thing. So I had to put a brass stop pin in the custom pocket clip because there was a little bit of wiggle without it. I drilled a little hole to the scale here, and the original pocket clip covers this, so you'll never see the second hole, but that's where the brass pin goes and keeps the pocket clip from swiveling back and forth. So just wanted to point that out really quick. Alright, so here it is all finished up. So here's the show side scale. And also I forgot to mention that I did clean up the scales too. They were a little beat up, but I did put a nice finish back onto them. So they are brand spanking new. Of course you have that anodized titanium blue all the way around, which looks really good. And of course, we got the pocket clip side, which I'm really happy with how this thing turned out. And those beveled edges with that satin finish just look really good, and definitely complements those liners. There is a pocket in the scale that I had to make a shape for to fit nicely, but I did round it off nicely underneath if I can get some light down there, but that way it looks pretty. Even underneath, I know it's not seen, but it's the little things. The retention it's a little on the tight side, but it's very smooth to go into pocket. And I'd rather have a tight pocket clip, especially on a $1,500 knife, to be really snug against your pocket. That way, if you're sitting in the car, or even if someone tries to take it, it's really biting down on the pocket clip. So I made sure of that. Honestly, this finish on the pocket clip almost matches the carbon fiber on the scales. So really, really happy with it. As always, you guys, let me know down below what you guys think of how this thing turned out. Let's look at it opened up. Whoops. Hard to do with gloves. But it's very smooth. This knife was very smooth to begin with. But here it is. Show side. Then we'll look at it. Pocket clip side. And if you guys haven't noticed yet, I also forgot to mention I did put a satin finish on the hardware, and you can see it says Rockstead on the pivot and even on the body screw back here. The pocket clip is just kind of a basic screw, but I left the inside of the screws black and then the outside too, so you have that nice contrast. Again, can't believe I was asked to work on this thing. I couldn't be happier, and the light is just making that pocket clip dance. I think it looks really good. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate the support. And as always, I will see you guys on the next one.